Hey there, I'm Stan Stalnaker in Davos at the Hub Culture Ice House with Edie Lush, our executive editor. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. You know, it's been a crazy week.
It's been a good week.
Yeah, and you interviewed a lot of people.
Yeah, less than last year, which is good because I think that our coverage was a little bit deeper on fewer issues. But weirdly, I'm just as tired.
Just as fried.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to interview you and
Okay,
ask
that's
you
good.
some questions
Okay.
about just what happened, because you had all these amazing people come through.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like, what are your takeaways? Like, what, you know, everybody comes to Davos and like, what was the theme? What was the major trend? You're the one that talks to everybody. Have you distilled any insights?
Well, I think the first big trend was that it, in some ways, was a lot calmer because there weren't the flood of presidents. Trump didn't come, Macron didn't come, Modi didn't come, quite a few others didn't come, which meant that the security was lower, which meant that the traffic was less,
Light.
which meant that the queues to get in everywhere were lower. So stress levels overall, I think, were lower. And that, to me, changed the mood. So everyone felt a little bit more just calm. So that was sort of a logistical issue, I'd say. For me, the big takeaways were inclusion has replaced diversity. So there was so much talk about inclusion and looking at diversity in a different way. So diversity of thought, diversity of religion, gender, race, all of those things at once, making a much more three-dimensional version.
So is inclusion the new diversity?
I feel like inclusion is the new diversity and purpose is the new sustainable.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second.
So we had Paul Pullman here in the Ice House talking about chief purpose officers. We had Keith Weed coming to talk to us about, after the Edelman Trust Barometer showed that 80% of people trust their employers the most of anyone in their life, that companies have to act with purpose in order to keep that trust. That to me was really interesting. I felt like there was an enormous shift from worrying about AI as the stealer of jobs to a focus of robots as the takers of jobs, to thinking about the human-machine connection as a kind of mesh.
I had a similar conversation about that, actually, which was very new. It was not an idea that I'd heard people talking about before.
And skills as well. So a lot of discussion, and I thought very productive discussion about how do you reskill in this age when we are all going to be augmented by machines, whether we want to or not. And I heard that across all the way down the promenade. I chaired 3 sessions that related to skills and AI. And it was really interesting because I don't think anyone's ready for it yet. I think there are people who are doing it well.
And did you find that it seemed to me like AI was in every conversation? There was not a single conversation where AI wasn't somehow at the heart of it, which I think was a big shift. Every single panel, it somehow always ended up going back to AI. So,
totally.
You know, last year was blockchain, right?
Right.
So blockchain everywhere and blockchain this and that, and it was kind of that hype moment for blockchain. But AI feels much bigger to me and more pervasive, and it just found its way. It's like where all roads lead to AI. I don't know. Do you
Yeah,
think
no, I
the same or
do. For me, it was sort of AI and skills. So it was this thing about, right, so now we know that there's no getting away, the robots aren't going away, and we all have to figure out what to do about it. And so really concrete things about what do you do with education if AI is helping to transform the entire lifelong learning idea. So I have this great idea of you might go to college for a year, university for a year, and then you might go back like every few years for maybe a month or a few weeks, because the scale of change is only going to continue to increase with AI. So that was one interesting thing. Heard
And
a
you
lot
see that
of
happening with online learning courses.
Yeah.
So, that makes sense.
a lot of really interesting discussion for me. I focused on urbanization. The world we know is already half in cities. That's only going to change.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only going to increase, and it's a good thing because it means more people are employed. People come to cities because they get jobs there. They get richer there. I was actually in India over Christmas and New Year, went into a slum, one of Bombay's biggest slums. It's a hive of activity. And when I spoke to Ruben Abraham from the IDFC Institute in India, he said the thing is that you can't have this sort of pastoral dream anymore. Yes, of course, it's lovely in the countryside, but he said, take me to somebody's house in a slum, their room in a slum, and I guarantee you that their life is better than it was in the village that they came from.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Really interesting.
Okay, before we wrap up, one last question. Any glimpses of the far future? Or the near future? Anything that surprised you?
Anything that surprised me. So I knew that tiredness impacted a lot of things, but I didn't realize our colleagues from FIA and Emotive were telling me that if you work from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m., by 2 a.m., your cognitive abilities are the equivalent of being drunk. So the decisions that you make are the same kind of decisions you would make if you were under the influence of alcohol. And that's pretty interesting given how tired everybody is all the way along the promenade.
And us. Okay,
Speak for
thank
yourself,
you.
I went to bed at 10 last night.
Oh, I went to bed at 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
There
so
you go.
I went too. And I was 62. I actually did that test with FIA and Emotive, and I came out of the bottom 10% of all Davos attendees. So I'm actually like the dumbest guy in Davos, I think.
It's okay.
Yeah,
You're not. You're
just had
smart
friends.
to me.
Okay, wrapping up another Davos. This is, by the way, Edie's 10th year
Yay!
reporting in Davos.
And Meg's.
Meg Thompson, our executive producer. So we're going to be celebrating them tonight. And, it's just been a great year here. Thank you for being here for 10 years.
Thank you for having me for 10 years.
Thank you for making our social media and Hub Culture what it is with Meg. You guys have been an amazing team and duo. And catch Edie on the Global Goals Cast, entering season 2 with MasterCard. The first episode of season 2 just dropped.
It's amazing.
I've been hearing it's amazing. And
For me.
you can download it and get it wherever you get
And
your
it's
podcast.
also on Hub Culture.
It is, yes. See you later.